Okay, hello again. This is John Ballantyre. This is about becoming a better tarot reader. So this, as you can see, is an eggshell, and it's fragile because you can put a little bit of pressure on it, it's going to break. And in some ways, that's kind of like what potential tarot readers are like in the beginning, and even some people who've been reading cards for a while, they're still quite fragile, they're easily broken. So let's say somebody asks you a couple of questions and you pick a card or two, and if they don't like what your answer is, and maybe they start arguing with you, or they ask you follow-up questions, so you pick another card and another card, and you realise you're not really getting anywhere because you're maybe contradicting yourself. So one card's saying do this, another card is saying do the opposite. So you can get confused, or you can draw a blank. You don't really know what to say about any of the cards. And you kind of find yourself wondering, why am I even doing this? Sometimes you'll think, I'm never going to get the hang of this tarot reading business. So that's kind of the situation that a lot of people find themselves in. And I say, even if you've been reading cards for several weeks or months or even years, you can still get people who don't like what you're saying, and you kind of draw a blank and you look at cards and you don't know what to say. So let's say you're fragile and easily broken. So this, on the other hand, is a piece of metal. It's a metal right angle, and maybe it's steel, maybe it's 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay, and this would seem to be the opposite of the eggshell, right? Because the eggshell is fragile, this is strong. You can throw it off the top of a building, it's not going to damage it. You can't do that with an egg. So you would think that this is the opposite, but if you put the metal against the side of a building, you put your foot here, right, and push down with it, you're going to be able to bend this metal, even though it's very strong. There's always going to be something stronger than it. So you bend it one way, bend it the other, and you can't break this. So even this that appears to be strong is breakable. So I want to say that the opposite of fragile is anti-fragile. And that means that opposition or difficulties or situations that you come up against, they don't make you strong, they make you unbreakable. And I think that's what tarot readers should aim to become, unbreakable. So something else is that I think that divination is good for you. Like looking into the future, or trying to figure out the future and understand more deeply what the past has been about, what's going on in the present. I think reading cards is actually good for people. It's good for you, the reader, partly because it allows you the chance to cultivate yourself. You can become wiser. You can become more discriminating. You understand better what's possible in life or at the moment, and what life is possible, of what kind of situations are possible in life generally. So I think it's a good idea because you can become more rounded, more complete, as you are more understanding of people and their possibilities. So that's part of it. But at the same time, you can also help people to act better so they can live more fully. You get them to act better in the sense of to act correctly. Because some behaviour is just not right, and we all know it. And in a tarot reading, you can encourage people to do what's right and to avoid doing what's wrong. So in that way, you're cultivating the self and fine-tuning your own self, but helping other people to cultivate themselves and to act more in accordance or in agreement with, what's right. So this is kind of an ad for the tarot course, and these are the 2 CDs, discs that I sell. There's an add to cart button at the website www.thetarot.ca, and so what I do in this particular course is I talk about and show you the who, what, where, how, why, and what. I can't remember those words that you use of every card, so that you can look at any particular card with any question and figure out what it means or what it's telling you. And the thing is, you can buy some books, or you can take a course, or go to weekly classes, and people generally have you memorize meanings for particular cards. But we all know that it's often very difficult to relate a meaning in a book or somebody else's meaning to the answer to a real person's actual question. So I don't think there's much value, really, from the point of view of reading cards, not that much value in memorizing meanings. So I don't do that in the course. What I do is I encourage you to understand or to see what sense the card makes in the question, or as part of the answer to that question for that individual at that moment. Because the same card can come up for somebody else the next day with a similar question, but it means, or the sense is slightly different because it's a different person. So I'm sort of going to show you how to be comfortable when reading cards. I think that's important, rather than put pressure on yourself to get to memorize or to come up with the right meaning. Be comfortable and figure out the sense of the card, and that's going to be more helpful to the questioner. Another thing is that people will teach you that you ought to be right, and readers get kind of hung up on being right and not wrong. And I think the point of a tarot reading is to tell the truth to the individual. So an example is, let's say somebody comes to you or comes to me and says, okay, am I going to pass this exam? And I pick a card or you pick a card and we say, no, you're not going to pass because of this and this, right? So you said no, they're not going to pass. So the person goes home and they think, okay, the tarot said I'm not going to pass the exam. I'm going to show the tarot that it was wrong. So they change, they maybe work harder, or they pay attention in class or whatever, they're better organised for the actual exam itself, and they pass. And they come back to you and they say, okay, you told me I would fail, and I passed, so the tarot was wrong. And you say, was the person who passed the test or passed the exam the same person who asked the question? And they're going to think, and they're going to say, no, well, no, because I worked harder than I had been, or I wasn't a slack off anymore. So your answer is, the tarot was right, because the person who asked the question was going to fail. The different person who took the test or took the exam passed. So right and wrong seem to be straightforward and easy, but when it comes to people's lives and living and their behaviour and what they do and what happens to them, right and wrong aren't really, as clear maybe or as obvious as we think they are. So you can waste a lot of time trying to be right, or keeping your fingers crossed that you're right? Because I think what's going on with a tarot reading is that, let's say you are the questioner, there's a part of you that knows what you need to know, or what the answer is, or what's important. And in some way, the reader is really just the translator or the interpreter, and is telling you, or maybe the conscious part of you, what the deeper part of you already knows. Right? So it's not that I, the reader, have power to make something happen for you. I don't think it's like that. It's more like you, or the questioner, is really talking to the questioner through the reader, or through the cards that come up. And that's what's going on. So being right and being wrong, better to tell the truth. So when a card comes up, you look at it and you talk about what's going on in the card, and then you relate it in some way to the question. So this video may appear on YouTube, and I've got a lot of videos on YouTube already. The thing is, when I started doing them, I wanted to show that the tarot is not ridiculous, that it's actually a valuable tool that we can use to live more fully, to live better, to live with greater understanding of what's possible and what's right and what's wrong, and what can be and what's supposed to be, if you think along those lines. So the reason for the videos on YouTube is one type of reason. Whereas with the course, what I had in mind was, this is all about showing people how to read better and how to read more accurately, and to be able to answer questions more comfortably and with more confidence, no matter what the question is, no matter who the questioner is. So So what you get, even though I talk about maybe similar cards in the course, the starting point and the explanation and the description and the use that I make of cards in the course is very different from what you get in the videos on YouTube. So that's kind of my sales pitch. And so if you're interested, go to the www.thetarot.ca and you'll read some information there. I'm redoing the site as well. Today's October the 5th or 6th, 2011, so whenever you see this, if you go on it, and it may look slightly different. I'm hoping it's going to look slightly different in a month from now than it does today. But anyway, there's an add to cart button, and so that's it. Just wanted to tell you about it and encourage you to take a look, especially if you want to sort of move beyond the beginner stage, because a lot of people look for a system, right? If you're looking for a system, you're never going to get beyond the beginner stage, because the tarot is about life. It's constantly changing, and life really doesn't fit inside somebody's system. But the tarot is more flexible and more true, I think, to what's going on with people and with life, because we've got these 78 cards and there's infinite number, a huge number of millions and millions of combinations of different cards. I think that's why the complexity, or the complicatedness, we could say, I don't know if that's a word, of the tarot, it's what makes it real and valuable and more useful, I think, for answering people's questions. So that's my little speech for today. Thanks for watching. If you have comments, leave a comment or send me an email. Thank you very much.